Hello everybody and welcome back to the Chaos Virus. Now today we are reading chapter 2. Now we ended off chapter 1 with some very interesting situations here. Now something about the Grey Equestria Games or something, and then something about a Tantibus. Or supposedly a creature like it. Now we have a bunch of... You know what? I'm not gonna say anymore. Folks are gonna just have to go watch. Go watch or go read because I respect the story. It's a fun story. I'm enjoying this. So, without further ado, we are just gonna start chapter 2 here. Gotta make sure audio's controlled. Twilight and the remainder of her friends have taken refuge within the School of Friendship. Applejack is preparing to venture out into Ponyville to search for her sister. Twilight approaches Applejack. Before you say anything, nothing will convince me to stay, so don't waste your breath if that's your goal. I just wanted to wish you luck and tell you to be careful. She looks surprised at the words. Oh, alright, thanks. If I find any pony else, I'll bring them back here. As soon as I feel ready, I'm gonna make the trip to Canela to see if Luna can tell us anything. Twilight was still not 100%, although her head was now roughly bandaged. She was waiting for her balance to fully return before making the flight to Canela. Rarity and Pinky are moving all the students to rooms further from the external walls. Starlight is keeping track of everyone. Meanwhile, across Ponyville, Rainbow and Fluttershy had made their way to Sweet Apple Acres and were working together to put out the fire in the orchard. They hadn't realized anything was wrong as Cloudsdale was functioning as normal. I hope we can save most of the orchard. At least the fire is going out pretty easily. Rainbow Dash shifts the clouds she is working with. Yeah. Wonder where... Look out! She tackles Fluttershy through the air, narrowly escaping the tentacles of one of the creatures. Fluttershy hovers higher to avoid another close call. Oh my, it doesn't seem very friendly. Hope our friends are alright. We need to find the others. I have a feeling there is more to this. She motions for Fluttershy to follow her. The pair of Pegasi turn and begin the short flight across the orchard to the area where the barn and farmhouse are built, scanning for their friends along the way. Several clouds were sent on a path across the orchard, so the fire was in the back of their minds. The safety of their friends was their first concern. Rainbow and Fluttershy both spot the Apple family home entirely engulfed in flames. The creature that had ambushed the group less than an hour earlier was still standing in the barn's doorway. What are those things? One is weird, two is concerning. Whatever they are, I don't like them. She shifts her gaze slightly to get a view from a different angle. Is that Granny Smith? Wait, is that thing eating her? She adjusts herself to look closer at the scene. Oh, Celestia. She promptly gags but recovers quickly. If Twilight isn't here, then they must have went back to the castle. Come on, Fluttershy. She turns and the pair began another flight, this time towards Twilight's castle. So these creatures so far are what I'm able to image from remembering the story last time I read the story a week ago or whatever. And remembering now is that these creatures are sort of like mini Tantibus demon things. But I also do remember that a lot of our cast here started having bad dreams whenever they slept. Nightmares. Bad nightmares. And I'm guessing... And anybody apparently is prone to having the ability to create a Tantibus. As stated in a book that somebody found. I think it was Twilight, probably. I'm not too sure. Can't remember. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of much the sum of it. I guess Granny is dead. I'm pretty sure Big Mac got his head bitten clean off. And yeah, I don't know what else is going on. A few minutes away, Applejack has just left the school. She made her way to the steps of Twilight's castle and spots the approaching Pegasi. She waves the two over and they share a brief discussion. Fluttershy decides to return to the school while Rainbow joins Applejack in searching for the CMC. So, Big Mac and Granny are both gone. You know, if you ever need somebody to talk... I don't need your sympathy right now. Let's just focus on finding my sister and her friends. No use crying about it when my sister could be out there. I understand. I'm here to help. Let's check Sugar Cube Corner. She decides to not say anything further, realizing that her friend is on edge already. Fluttershy arrives at the school and has a brief discussion with Twilight, her friend explaining the events of the day so far. After that, she stayed with Twilight near the entrance, insisting that she properly bandage her friend's head. Just gonna raise it a smidge. Further into the school, Starlight had finished taking a large-scale roll call for all the students that were still on campus. The school's design being carved into the side of a mountain meant the students could safely remain in the deeper areas. It's just really quiet. Rudy and Pinky had been helping organize all the students, but once the roll call was finished, they shifted their attention. The duo is now focused on maintaining morale. Pinky is not her normal, energy-filled self, but is still the best source of smiles in the group. Rarity is leading various craft groups as a distraction from the morbid situation outside the walls. Most of the students are trying to focus on occupying themselves. Several can tell something is wrong from the simple fact that the sky is still consumed by a partial eclipse. The students 6 are working with Rarity and Pinky to keep others distracted, even if they can't help but wonder what's really going on outside. Rainbow and Applejack approached Sugar Cube Corner carefully. The streets were still bathed in morbid scene, bodies strewn about. As they continuously stepped closer, they both noticed the door was hanging loosely from its hinges. It was clear that it had been forced open recently. Applejack quietly peeks through the open door. No monsters inside. Let's keep quiet just in case. She makes sure to speak softly. Rainbow. Alright, I'll check upstairs. She quietly hovers over to the stairway and disappears upstairs. Applejack takes the chance to check in cupboards and closets. Her main concern was possibly finding the Cake twins, cowering in fear. Wait, Mr. Cake? As she peered into the kitchen area, she spotted the corpse of the twins' father, impaled on broken glass. From what Applejack could piece together, he was caught in a struggle, presumably with one of the monsters, the evidence being a large bite mark across his back. From the state of the kitchen, it was clear he put up a fight and ended up being thrown into a glass cabinet, the shards now pinned deeply into his lifeless body. Upstairs, Rainbow was scanning through the few rooms. After a couple of minutes, she arrived at Pinky's room. She searched the room from corner to corner, but then she opened the closet and was met with Mrs. Cake and her twins. Rainbow? She looks puzzled at the sudden appearance of the rainbow-maned mare. Pumpkin Cake. Is Daddy okay? Well, I can't say I have an answer, but... Applejack is searching downstairs. We are looking around town for any pony left after the chaos earlier. Where's Aunt Pinky? Pinky and the rest of our friends are staying in the school until further notice. Things seem safe enough there. The trio of mother and children are escorted downstairs by Rainbow. They meet Applejack, who cleverly guides them away from the kitchen. Applejack pulls aside Mrs. Cake while Rainbow keeps the twins entertained. After a brief discussion, it's decided the duo will escort the Cakes to the school before continuing their search. Dude, that's freaking deep. The group has gathered in the cafeteria of the school. Let's take a look into what every pony is up to. Let's review who is part of the school group and what each member is planning to do next. Twilight is getting ready to make the flight to Canterlot to get advice from Luna. She can only hope that Luna is alright. Her friends tried to convince her not to go alone, but Twilight refused to allow any pony to accompany her. Rainbow and Applejack are helping the Cake settle in before going back out into Ponyville. Applejack has taken the opportunity to distract herself from guilt. Rainbow is checking with Mrs. Cake to piece together what happened earlier in the day. Rarity and Pinkie are still focused on keeping morale high. It's a way to distract themselves from what's happening outside the school walls. Rarity is still busy with crafts, helping distract any pony willing to join her. Pinkie is trying her best to not let the losses affect her. Fluttershy is looking through the few areas with medical supplies. The majority of her medical knowledge pertain to animals, although she knew enough about caring for ponies that she felt confident taking up the role of group medic. Starlight was mostly worried about keeping the numerous individuals organized until she heard something new from Twilight. The Cakes were also settling into the school. The safety in numbers made the process much easier. Oof, that's deep. The Royal Sisters are having a discussion. Oddly, Luna notices that Celestia is no longer sick. Her elder sister was in seemingly perfect health. Even if, in the back of her mind, she knew something wasn't right, she had an overwhelming sense that things were perfectly normal. Are they being replaced? Are they being assimilated by some sort of entity, and Celestia has now just, like, been completely assimilated like the movie The Thing? And something is just playing her? Despite my utter hatred of mornings, I simply cannot deny your pancakes are exquisite. She pauses for a moment, noticing her sister's unblemished coat, which for some reason didn't make sense, but the feeling quickly passed. And despite how tired I am at the end of the day, I'll admit that your dinners are always a treat. She also pauses for a moment, an overwhelming sense of something strange hits her mind. But just as with her sister, the feeling passes. That is so weird. That is odd. The sisters have many similar discussions for some time, although as Celestia attempts to leave the throne room, she discovers the door locked. Luna also notices that the stained glass windows are slightly strange. The appearance of most of them have small, misplaced details. Only she knew, due to her working on the designs of each. This time, each of the sisters get the same overwhelming feeling that something is wrong. But this time, it doesn't go away. Neither of them can say what exactly the cause is. As they both looked around the throne room, more and more small details were revealed to be wrong. Nothing very severe, but several small things that just seemed off. Twilight makes the relatively short flight to Canterlot, although upon her arrival, she was met with a harrowing scene. Death had filled the streets of the royal city, much like Ponyville, corpses strewn about in an eerie silence. She went to the castle and worked her way through the few corridors that led to the throne room. When she reaches the door, she peeks through it and spots both the princesses standing off to the side of the room, facing away from her. Twilight steps through the door and calls out to the princesses, "Celestia and Luna, I'm so happy you're both alright." The sisters, they both turn and stare. Shocking Twilight, their eyes are blacked out and oozing a black substance, as are their mouths. Neither speaks, but they do not look away. She pauses and debates if she should approach or speak again. Twilight very cautiously steps closer. In her mind, she was justifying this action with the fact that neither of them seemed to be aggressive. As she steps a small distance closer, she hears a voice chuckle from behind her, a voice she didn't expect to hear. Well, well, hello there, my little pony. Ooh, interesting. Seems you've come to admire my wonderful chaos. I do hope you like what you see. I really have spared no expense in the decor. I will give credit where it's due. You have protected your friends. The voice of discord fills the room, but something about it sounded wrong. Not only was his voice strange, but his appearance was clearly altered. Discord stood before Twilight with a much altered appearance. A black mist covered his body around 3 key areas: the right side of his head, his left shoulder and arm, and lastly, his right hip and leg. Twilight was attempting to recollect her thoughts and figure out how to proceed. You simply do not understand the forces I now control. I will control all of Equestria. None of you will be able to stand in my way. This time, a much lower and rougher voice came from him, a voice that reminded Twilight of the creature that had once consumed all the magic in Equestria, Turek. The voice of Turek, whatever, I'm not the best at pronouncing, was coming from Discord. Twilight was taken aback at the realization. You gotta tell me your thoughts on my monsters. They have been doing so well all across Equestria. I've been thinking about what to call them. Oh golly, how about chaos constructs? Once again, Twilight is puzzled at yet another voice escapes him. This one much higher and more childish. A voice very reminiscent of the young filly that attempted to drain all of Equestria's magic. Cozy glow. I have already cleansed most of the major cities across this great nation known as Equestria, and I have plans in place to clean out every last village. This voice is notably snappier and eerily similar to the voice of the former leader and matriarch of the Changelings, Queen Chrysalis. You are simply trying to protect your friends. That's why you came here, isn't it? To seek advice from the 2 ponies you knew you could trust. I do believe it was Twilight. A voice that shocks Twilight to her very core speaks to her, the voice of not only her teacher, but also her idol, the voice of Princess Celestia. Don't think your friends are safe. I know you and those you protect are using the School of Friendship as a shelter. It is on my list. Just wait your turn. The voice Twilight had come here to hear spoke to her. The voice that had been ruling over Equestria over the past week. The voice of Princess Luna. Let me be clear with you, Twilight. This is not Discord. The Discord you knew is gone, and will not return. I am a very powerful being that truly only wants one thing. Equestria. So I extend an offer. You can join me in my pursuit of controlling this nation, which would seal the protection of you and your friends, or you can simply turn away and leave. I will allow you to leave unharmed, but your shelter will be getting a visit. The final voice sounded new and familiar all at once. It felt like she was listening to everyone all simultaneously, but she had an offer to think about. After some debating internally, she simply stepped away from the figure she knew as Discord. She couldn't take such an offer and risk losing the rest of Equestria. In that case, I'm sure we will cross paths again, sooner or later. Now leave before I change my mind and paint this room with you. Beautiful image. Twilight takes the message and quickly scrambles to take flight. Once again, she starts the flight back to Ponyville, her mind swirling with everything she now has to think about. What should she do next? If the Royal Sisters fell, what chance does she stand? But there must be a way to protect her friends and defeat whatever she just faced. Holy cow. Yeah, that was way too many different characters compiled into one. That got confusing for me real quick. Okay. It's like near silent. Twilight was mid-flight on her way back to Ponyville. Her mind was swirling with so many different things. She didn't know what to think of the information she had found in Canterlot. Her best source of answers were now unavailable. Back at school, all her friends were anxiously awaiting her return. They all were hoping for some good news after all the bad that had come over the past 12 hours. Most of her friends were hopeful for someone good, but Applejack in particular was oddly pessimistic. I'll be as happy as any pony else if Twilight comes back with some answer to all the problems we've been having. Her voice was filled with sarcasm. But is it wrong of me to think even Luna may not have an answer for something that has never been seen before? She is our best chance at figuring out anything, Applejack. I get that you've been under a lot of stress. Wait, do not say it. I will not let you talk as if you understand. I have lost both Granny and Big Mac, and who knows where my little sister is now. Applejack turns away, and Rainbow notices a few teardrops hit the floor. Her farm pony friend had finally reached a breaking point. Applejack cried a few tears, but stifled herself. Her eyes betrayed her true state. She was breaking down internally, but she forced herself to put on a brave face. Dang, deep. Twilight slowly steps into the school, her head hung low. All her friends crowd around her. Every pony wants to know what she saw in Canterlot. So, she took a deep breath and prepared to explain what she saw. Canterlot has fallen. From what I could piece together, the same thing that happened here in Ponyville must have happened there. She takes a deep breath. Celestia and Luna are also gone. Even Discord is under the influence of whatever is making those monsters. She pauses a moment. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need a moment alone to figure out what to do next. As much as her friends want to be by her side and help her, the tears in her eyes made it clear she needed a moment alone. Twilight closed herself in her office, tears streaming down her face as she questioned the situation. The pressure of leading her friends was weighing down on her more than ever. What am I supposed to do now? The strongest and wisest ponies in Equestria are gone. Can I really make a difference at all? She paused and looked across her desk at a photo of her and all her friends. Even if I don't know what comes next, I have to try. For my friends, I can't give up on them. They would never give up on me. Whew. Deep, deep. In the school's hallways, a small argument had broken out between Rainbow and Applejack. The duo were discussing searching more of Ponyville. They disagreed on where to search, Applejack wanting to focus on searching places where her sister is likely to be. You know I want to find Apple Bloom just as much as you, but there's no telling how many scared ponies are hiding around Ponyville. I'm not a villain, Rainbow, but my main concern at the moment is making sure I'm not the last surviving member of my family. And I'd like to know my sister is alright as well, and searching where the Crusaders are likely to take shelter will likely lead to finding the others as well, darling. A few feet away, Pinky and Fluttershy are sharing a quiet moment. Pinky sharing a cupcake with her shy friend, just as Rainbow was about to make another comment. Twilight emerges from her office and has a look of determination, although it's clear she was crying recently. Search home to home. It will allow you both with the highest chance of finding any hiding survivors. Plus, you can keep up with the constructs. Easier that way. Rarity and Pinky, search the rooms in the school for anything useful. I have a feeling we won't be leaving anytime soon. Fluttershy, I have a few books you should look over. Treating magical injuries is quite complex. The more united we can be in the face of challenges, the better we will be at overcoming them. Any objections to my suggestions? She scans across all of her friends. All of her friends hesitate in unison, but none of them can deny her final point is the truth. Therefore, they all mumble, but move to do their part. Rainbow and Applejack trot off towards the exit, Pinky and Rarity the opposite direction, and Fluttershy follows Twilight into her office. Rainbow and Applejack— "Oh, no, go back, you fool!" Rainbow and Applejack depart from the school and begin making their way into Ponyville. As Twilight instructed, they planned on searching home to home, scanning for any pony left after the carnage. Back deeper into the school structure, Pinky and Rarity was searching through various rooms. The duo was looking for anything that could be of use to the rest of the group. And finally, in Twilight's office, Fluttershy was studying some books about magical injuries and how best to treat them. Twilight was sitting quietly at her desk, working through a larger plan in her head. I apologize for today's not only being late, but being so short. I've recently been able to say this. Okay, well, sounds good. No problem. Absolutely no problem. As long as you're doing better. Pinky and Rarity was searching through cupboards and cabinets, each looking for anything that seemed useful enough to snatch. They had taken to scanning through areas and taking notes of where things were, and carrying smaller items back to the cafeteria where everyone else was. Maybe we should use the gymnasium for storage. Lots and lots of room in there. She took her usual vibrant and cheery tone, but it sounded hollow now. Perhaps, she paused, debating if she should question her friend on the emptiness of her tone. Pinky, darling, has today been harder than you let on? She looked at her unicorn friend with mixed emotions. Yeah, today has been hard, but I can't break down. I'm the source of too many smiles. I can't let down those who depend on me for joy. The pair drops off a few things at the cafeteria before returning to their system of cataloging room by room. The ultimate plan was to enlist the help of the many students to gather things and move them to the gymnasium, which would allow for easy access from the cafeteria. Outside the school, Rainbow and Applejack were making their way to a spot that would offer something useful, the town hall. There, they could pick up a few maps that could be used by the group for planning purposes. Other uses may arise as time passes. We can keep track of the homes we've searched and even mark spots of high priority. There's a lot of reason to keep a map on Hoof. Applejack rolls her eyes. I won't deny you have a darn good point. But as soon as we get the maps and return them to the school, we are working double time to find my sister. As long as you don't let that get in the way of saving lives. You're welcome to go search on your own if that's what you think would work best. Rainbow Dash stays silent. They continue to the town hall and quickly retrieve a number of maps from the different areas within Ponyville. They turn to return to the school. The pair shares uneasy glances at each other. They may not be very happy with their situation, but they both care about each other. Rainbow and Applejack make their way back to the school and drop off most of the maps they had collected. Applejack holds onto one to use for keeping track of where has been searched and where hasn't. The pair of ponies quickly return to the streets of Ponyville. The short walk from the school to the closest row of homes is quick. Rainbow notices something out of the corner of her eye. She thinks little of it until it happens a second time. I'm gonna check something out. I got a gut feeling. I'll be right back. Long as you're quick. She flies a medium distance ahead, scanning for what she caught in the corner of her vision. She soon notices one of the monsters nearby. Gotta warn Applejack. She mumbles under her breath. Luckily, the creature seemed to be busy feeding. She watched her Pegasus friend closely, noticing the shift in her behavior. She knew something had caught her attention. The pair adjusts course to account for the construct. As they near another row of homes, they both hear hoof steps from inside one of the homes. Rainbow double-checks the area to make sure they aren't going to be surprised, and Applejack approaches the door, which is locked. Applejack rattles the door in its frame once again. This time, it caught the attention of the construct they spotted earlier. Once Applejack noticed, she swung and kicked the door off its hinges. This caused a shriek from inside. The construct now was approaching the sounds. The duo quickly scurried into the building and took shelter in the darkness. Applejack noticed two more pairs of eyes looking from across the room. The four of them sat in silence as the construct approached and peered through the door. It was scanning the darkness for anything living. The creature's eyes swept across the dark interior of the home. It rattled the door that was still hanging from the wall. The four, still breathing, waited and hoped that the monster wouldn't investigate further. Then suddenly, the creature retracted violently from the doorway. It soon became clear that the reason behind the sudden motion was in fact another construct that had attacked the first. 8 eyes watched cautiously from the darkness of the interior. It seemed almost as if the two creatures were having a territorial dispute. The fight swiftly ended with the first construct retreating. After a few minutes passed, the second construct had also wandered away, allowing all 4 survivors to exit their hiding spots. The 2 newcomers were hesitant to leave their spots, but relented and stepped into the light. Applejack recognized the first as a mare by the name of Orangeburst. The apples received winter accessories from her each year. The other she had recognized as a zebra by the name of Imani. She was a regular buyer of Zap Apple Jam. "It's good to see you two safe. If you follow us, we'll take you somewhere safe. Others have been gathering at the School of Friendship." She paused to allow a response, but all she got in return were nods and glances. "You two always were pretty quiet." "Like she said, we'll take you to the school. You both should be a lot safer there." With that, the mare and her zebra friend followed behind the Earth Pony and Pegasus duo. The walk back to the school was only a few minutes, but the silence made it feel longer. Nonetheless, they all soon passed Twilight's castle and saw the school not far ahead. Uh-oh, I'm getting foreshadow vibes from that. Rainbow and Applejack drop off the newest arrivals and quickly return out to into Ponyville. The duo was committed to finding anyone left alive. They moved continued down the row of homes they had started on. Upon arriving at the next house on their list, they discovered a grisly sight just inside the door. Carrot Top was strewn around her carrot shop. Okay. Rainbow gagged and coughed for a moment. Applejack scanned the interior of the shop. The inside of the shop was covered in dried blood. It appeared that Carrot Top had been thrown around the room. Applejack and Rainbow paid respects, but ultimately decided to move to the next home. When they arrived at the next house, they just so happened to be around a corner they both recognized it. They were looking at the home of Octavia and Vinyl Scratch. The home didn't look like it had been attacked, so they approached cautiously. Right, here's hoping they're doing well. They both approached the door and noticed it was slightly ajar. Applejack gave a glance to Rainbow. Rainbow proceeded to fly up and scan to see where the nearest construct was, which luckily wasn't nearby. Applejack paused the door open to allow light to flow into the room. The first thing that caught her eye was the white mare laying sprawled across the floor. Vinyl was seemingly unconscious, laying in the center of the room. She had a rough head wound that left half of her face covered in dry blood. Applejack approaches Vinyl and watches her closely for a moment. She's still breathing. "I'll carry her back to the school." "To the school?" She recognized the trotogram accent. that had spoken those words, and when she turned towards the voice, as expected, she saw Octavia. Yup, Twilight and the rest of us are held up in the School of Friendship. Well, in that case, I'd like to accompany you. I need to apologize to her face to face. Applejack heaved the unconscious body of Vinyl up onto her back. Octavia gasped upon seeing how bad the gash in her mare friend's head was. Rainbow, who had been keeping watch just outside of the door, rejoined and gave Applejack directions to avoid the nearest construct. I hope you know we'll do everything we can to make sure she's alright, Octavia. I know how much you care about her. Thank you. It means a lot. Hopefully Fluttershy has enough supplies to fix that gash up nice and neat. Silver lining is at least you will both be safer in the school than out here. That's true. You got a point. Rainbow and Applejack arrive back at the school with the newest survivors. Fluttershy immediately moves to tend to Vinyl's wound. Twilight takes Octavia to the side to ask what had happened. The hallway was acting as an impromptu welcoming room. The group is recollecting themselves as they all collectively took a moment to breathe and relax. As Pinky and Rarity approached the hallway and spotted Octavia, each welcomed her in their own way. Off. Thank you all for the warm welcome, but are you sure this place is really that safe? I've seen those things tear down entire buildings. Luckily, the constructs don't seem very interested in this place. Plus, I have a shield spell that will protect the outermost walls if they ever attacked. Constructs? That's what we've taken to calling those things that did all the damage in town. The group sits quietly for a moment before they suddenly hear several loud roars come from nearby. No constructs were visible, so they didn't do anything immediately other than watch the area around the school closely in case any of them approached. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ponies of importance and their whereabouts. This will be periodically updated to reflect important changes and the effects of major events. Let's see what every pony is up to and review statuses and such. It has been nearly 24 hours since the outbreak that swept across Ponyville. Let's see what every pony is up to since then. The Royal Sisters. Celestia and Luna have fallen to the affliction. It is unknown at this time if they can be brought back. The main six. Twilight has become the de facto leader of the school group. Fluttershy is mainly focused on making sure Vinyl wakes up again. Applejack and Rainbow have accepted their roles as scavengers and the search party. Rarity and Pinky have begun to move around supplies inside the school. The Royal Crystal family. It is currently unknown where Princess Cadance and her family are now. It is also unknown if they have been affected by the recent outbreak. The Cutamar Crusaders' whereabouts are unknown. Discord has fallen to the affliction. It is unknown at this time if he can be brought back. The school group. Vinyl was currently still unconscious and under care. Octavia is by her mare friend's side, sitting and watching Fluttershy move around the room. Mrs. Cake was busy trying to entertain her two children. Orange Blast was stress knitting in a corner of the cafeteria. Imani was looking through the food storage in the back of the room. Oh, don't eat it all. We need some too. Suddenly the roars that the group had heard previously sounded once again. This time, 4 constructs were seen approaching the school's outer walls. Twilight preemptively cast the shield spell that placed a magical barrier against the exterior walls. All the survivors that were in the entrance hall froze as the 4 constructs rapidly approached. There were several windows that looked directly out into the space outside the school, most of which ponies were looking through. The 4 constructs began to slash and smack at the magical barrier, trying to break through. Twilight was focused on maintaining the spell and keeping her friends safe. Are you sure that shield is strong enough? Shouldn't we move further into the school? This spell is strong enough to hold back nearly anything. I will keep my friends safe. After the word safe, she began to hyper-focus on maintaining the strength of the spell. Suddenly, all the constructs stopped attacking the barrier and instead began to speak. although using the voices of their victims. A few select voices stood out to the group. The voices of Mr. Cake and Carrot Top stood out the most. The air was filled with screams and sounds of pain as the constructs taunted the survivors. One specific voice rings out that strikes Twilight consciously directly. The voice of her first assistant, Spike. Hearing the cry of pain in the voice of Spike made her lose enough focus that she suddenly couldn't maintain the spell. This led to the magical barrier dissipating nearly instantly. Uh-oh, it's game over. Pull the Spike card, it's all over. Near instantly, the 4 constructs each sent out a tentacle. Several windows shattered as 4 ponies were targeted. Rainbow, Applejack, Pinky, and Octavia now had tentacles rapidly approaching them. Uh-oh, I know where this is going. Rainbow was able to narrow dodge the tentacles targeting her. Applejack's powerful strength was able to knock back the tentacle targeting her. Both expected a follow-up strike, but none came. Only the screams of the other 2 ponies that were targeted. Pinky was picked up off her hooves. The tentacle had wrapped around her torso and lifted her into the air. Octavia was dragged across the room in a flash, with her ankle being wrapped by the tentacle targeting her. The screams of pain from Pinky and Octavia shocked Twilight's mind out of her momentary panic. In a bright and powerful flash of light, the shield was back up and severed the appendages that had grabbed her friends. Pinky and Octavia both tumbled, but were now free from the hold of the constructs. The constructs watched through the magical barrier with wide smiles. A few patches of pony skin still hung from one's teeth. Although just as every pony was expecting further attacks, all the constructs turned away in unison and began walking back into the Ponyville. Gosh dang, these constructs are cool crud. They don't care. They're unfazed by anything. Rainbow and Rarity rushed to the aid of Pinky, while Fluttershy and Applejack rushed to help Octavia. A moment later, Trixie and Starlight rushed into the room. They helped guide every pony, except Twilight, into one of the empty classrooms. Twilight didn't move from her position standing and focused on the spell. She would always be ready in case of another attack. Chapter 2 is complete. Oh, shoot, go back. Go back. You go frickin' back. I wasn't done yet. I was reading. Chapter 2 is complete. The group is unsteady, but holding together. Will they be able to keep the school afloat in these trying times? Once again, I'll be taking a break off the continue with this. No, I'm proud of a story. I'm in many plans. Once again, when chapter 3 starts, I will likely be back to daily updates. Oh my god, that is. Oh, the antenna. Holy cow. Okay, hold on. They've been away a little long. His block finally got up to me. Yep, Writer's block. Serious. That's a real killer. So let's check out this teaser. Chapter 3 teaser. The following is a sequence that happened immediately after the Chapter 1 finale. I hope you all enjoy this peek into the plans for the highly anticipated next chapter of the Chaos Virus. This is all one scene, unlike the previous chapter teasers. Just as Twilight and her friends vanish in a flash of magic, Sweetbelle narrowly dodges a swipe from the nearest construct, and after a few more seconds, the CMC are sprinting away from the monsters. By the way, this wasn't obvious. This is definitely spoilers for the next thing going on. We gotta get somewhere. Those things ain't and fast. Let's head to the clubhouse. Maybe we can hide there and figure things out. How do we know the fire hasn't gotten to it yet? All 3 of the young fillies are galloping as fast as they can. The clubhouse is our best bet. If it's already gone, I know a shed where Applejack would keep all our camping gear. We can't stay in town. It's not safe. After a few minutes of adrenaline-fueled speed, the CMC arrive at their clubhouse. The fire was still burning some distance away in the orchard, devouring trees as it went. After they climb into the small room, they all breathe a collective sigh of relief. We are safe for now, it seems. I for one think we should wait in case the others come looking for us. Considering we didn't actually sleep last night, I say we get some rest and make a plan just in case. We can sleep in shifts. It's what my parents would do when camping in dangerous jungles. One sleeps while the other 2 keeps watch. One watches the fire, the other watches the path to town. After a quick game of three-way rock, paper, scissors, Sweetie has decided to be the first to sleep while her friends take watch. Sweetie curls up in the corner and does her best to fall asleep, while her friends keep track of the fire and an eye on the path to town. They discuss alternative plans if the fire gets too close. Interesting. Now, realistically for me, if I was ever in a scenario like this, I don't think I would be sleeping for a long time. I think my adrenaline would keep me going until I actually crashed. The anxiety from such a situation would be so high, I don't think I could sleep until I was literally, like, sleeping inside a little cubic freezer, alright? Completely blocked off, no way in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Completely blocked off. Not too big of a room. Just enough to be comfortable. But also safe enough to have a way out and crud. It would be a real struggle figuring out how you would logically survive something like these. These are ridiculously insane. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, hold on. I want to... Okay, wait. Debating my new and awesome title card provided by the fan of Chaos Fires. It was a collaborative effort that balanced my vision and my artistic talents that made the reality. I suppose you could call it my first piece of fan art I requested for. The intent behind the title card was in hopes that it would give this story a more unique identity and makes new parts more easily recognizable. It may even pull in attention from new readers. The Chaos Virus. Friendship is chaotic. Okay, well anyways folks, that was chapter 2 of the Chaos Virus. That was absolutely enjoyable. Very interesting to see what happens. Luna and Celestia, hope they're okay. Not sure if they're doing too well though, but it seems all of our major antagonists have just coalesced into a giant hodgepodge. And I can't explain how or why that happened, but I guess it did. Some sort of higher entity is controlling them. Very interesting. Very interesting. Many questions. But yeah, that was the Chaos Virus, Chapter 2. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.